Hello everyone, this is Elena, and as you all know, I'm the SPJ secretary. I'm originally from Greece, and this summer I had an internship with CNN Greece. So today I'm going to give you some advice and talk about how to get internships, how to get jobs, and generally how to connect with people, with recruiters, and with other people who you might be interested in developing a future relationship that is, of course, only professional. So let's start with internships. I think that one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen that many people make is that they try to get an internship last minute. So the thing is that, of course, maybe you're looking on a website and the internship position isn't open yet. But if you're from a smaller country, or even if it's a smaller company, you can still apply from the website on the right date, but you can also try to establish some connection with the company to get you ahead of the game. For example, you can try and look up the names of the people who work in the company and connect with them on LinkedIn. I will give you more information on LinkedIn after I talk about the internship. So that way, you try to establish the first step in sort of being a more familiar person and not just one more random candidate who's applying for an internship. You can also try emailing someone and say that you saw the internship position and you're waiting for the website, application to open, but right now you're very excited and you would also like to get some more information from them, or if they could meet you for a coffee. Honestly, they might just not respond or decline your request and tell you to wait for the internship position to open, but you have nothing to lose. Showing interest is a great way to actually show that you are interested. Very basic. But again, don't be one of those people who sends 3 emails. 1 email in that kind of situation is enough. And trust me, you will be surprised how many people are going to respond to you. Now, we are in the middle of a pandemic, so obviously asking somebody for a coffee is not a great idea, and that might put them also in a difficult position. But you can always ask for a 20-minute Zoom, and you can ask them about their work, do a little bit of research. It doesn't have to be that you always go through the system with doing the application and just waiting to hear back. That is not a bad thing to do. Of course, you should do that because that is the way we apply to jobs and internships. But reaching out beforehand and really expressing your interest once without being annoying is a very good idea, and it also makes you different from all the other candidates who are going to follow the procedure. Now, when it comes to LinkedIn, I'm not necessarily going to say in this video that you will find your job through LinkedIn. However, I think that it's a mistake to ignore LinkedIn. Why? Because every time you apply for a job, most people are probably going to look at your social media, and they might look at your LinkedIn too. When you have a lot of connections, that automatically is just how we perceive stuff, puts you higher up on the LinkedIn, let's say, scale. Another thing about LinkedIn is that if you are connected with a lot of people and it so happens that the employer knows one of those people, that just looks that you are more familiar to them and not a stranger. And people like to feel more familiar with others. So a good idea with LinkedIn is to start connecting with everybody. It could be people from your own university, it could be a random search, it could be a more targeted search. If you're into journalism, you can search for journalists and try to connect with as many people as possible. And first of all, reach more than 500 connections. Even if it's 501, once you reach more than 500, LinkedIn will say 500 or more connections. So that automatically makes you look better on LinkedIn. Another thing you can do is after you go to any lecture, after a professor visits your class, like an outside professor or a guest, or even if you're having, for example, a newsroom tour somewhere, you can sneak and see the names of that place and then go find those people and add them on LinkedIn. And you can be frank. You can always start a sweet message and say, "Thank you for joining our class. Would love to connect here." Even if you're not looking for a job at the time, you're establishing the connections that then might make you familiar to an employer who doesn't know you. Because he'll think, oh, she's connected with all these journalists, so she must be more reliable. Also, once you reach that 500 plus limit, let's say you once want to connect with somebody who's much more prestigious. For me, that person was Lori Garrett. She's a journalist in the medical/scientific field, and for those who don't know her, you can Google her. She's a really big deal. I was able to probably connect with her because I had a lot of journalists who I had connected with via LinkedIn by using this process of building it up and then making people think that I am also important. And I mean, we should value ourselves. But the point is that making people think that I am also important so they can connect with me because I know all these other journalists. The last piece of advice I'm going to give you is when you go, and of course now we're under a pandemic, but when the pandemic ends, or even now, when you attend an online lecture, an online event, it doesn't matter what kind of event. Be that person who stays after the event. You don't have to ask a million questions. You don't have to know exactly what you're going to ask. Be the person who greets. Be the person who asks for a business card. Be the person who simply makes a comment that you enjoyed that lecture. Because at the end of the day, yes, these people are busy and might not give you as much of attention, but they do want other people to be interested in their work. And so after that, if you do get a business card, send an email, and if they don't respond, that's totally fine. You did your part. Again, go back and connect with them on LinkedIn. You never know when you're going to need them. And you shouldn't be doing this when you need them. Even if you end up never needing this person in your life, there might be a day where someone knows someone who knows someone who knows this person. And that just makes you more reliable. That gives you a better advantage over a candidate with the same qualities who doesn't know as many people. Because let's be real, connections matter. And most importantly, people want to feel that they have something familiar to you, whether it is that you attended one of their lectures, whether it is that you have a common connection, whether it is that you're just attended the same university. You won't know all these things unless you make that step after an event to connect with people. And finally, one last tip. When you're at an interview, and even though you might have the same qualifications, the qualifications that the job requires, and another candidate might have those, of course you will follow the protocol with being dressed correctly, being polite, and all that stuff. But what matters at the end of the day, and I've noticed in all the jobs and internships that I've gotten, or in simply just meeting a lot of people, is that people want something different. They want to see your personality come out in the interview. They want to hear that story that they're not going to hear from every candidate. And that's not to say that you should go on and say the story of your life or start throwing in there a random detail, but it is important to show your personality, to smile, to maybe see something in the room that you've noticed, like a picture, something that makes you more human and not just a robot who is there and just saying, I have this quality and walks out. Again, that's not going to work with every interview. But one of the biggest things to remember is that people want to connect. And they want to connect on a personal level. They want to feel that they can trust you. And when they don't know you, whatever you can bring that you have that could spark some sort of interest and they could feel familiar to you will matter. Because at the end of the day, other people will have the same qualifications as you too. So it comes down to your personality, how many people you know, and how much you express your interests. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any more questions, you can contact me on my social media, Instagram at Elena Kefi, and at Twitter, same handle, or Facebook. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to check our social media for SPJ as well, the Society of Professional Journalism at Georgetown. Thank you.